Cleopatra. Her name echoes through time. A queen, a myth, a woman of immense power. She fascinated the ancient world, and she continues to fascinate us today. Her image is potent, unforgettable. She was far more than just a beautiful ruler. She was a political strategist, a scholar, a force of nature. She dared to challenge the mightiest empire on earth. Rome both feared and desired her. She was an outsider, a captivating enigma, a woman navigating a world dominated by men. She challenged their preconceived notions of power. She used her intellect as her sharpest weapon. Her charm was legendary, a tool she wielded with precision. Egypt was her kingdom, her stage. The entire Mediterranean world watched her every move. Her influence on an era was truly immense. Leaders of Rome fell under her spell. Great generals, powerful statesmen, they were drawn to her. This is her incredible story. Cleopatra VII was born into a storied dynasty. The Ptolemies had ruled Egypt for centuries. They were of proud Macedonian Greek descent. Alexandria was their glittering capital city. It was a cosmopolitan center of learning. Cleopatra grew up within the opulent palace walls. This environment was filled with constant intrigue. Her father was Ptolemy XIV Auletes. His reign was marked by instability and unrest. He faced numerous internal rebellions. He became heavily reliant on Roman support. Young Cleopatra witnessed these struggles firsthand. She learned crucial lessons about power very early in life. She understood its seductive nature and its inherent fragility. Survival in the royal court was a daily, demanding lesson. The palace was a treacherous place for a young princess. She had several siblings. Some of these siblings would later become her bitter rivals. Cleopatra had to cultivate strength. She needed to be exceptionally clever to navigate these perils. Her childhood uniquely prepared her for a challenging and tumultuous reign. Cleopatra received an education that was truly exceptional for her time. She was not content to be just another royal figurehead. She was a dedicated scholar in her own right. She diligently studied a wide array of subjects. Philosophy, rhetoric, mathematics, and astronomy were among her pursuits. These disciplines became her essential tools. Her sharp, analytical mind was her greatest weapon. She worked tirelessly to hone it each and every day. She was a gifted linguist, a rare talent among her dynasty. She reportedly spoke numerous languages fluently. Egyptian, her native Greek, and Latin were essential. This allowed her to converse directly with diverse peoples from across her kingdom and beyond. Her linguistic skills helped her connect with her Egyptian subjects. This connection fostered loyalty and strengthened her rule. She made a conscious effort to embrace Egyptian culture. She learned the ancient customs and religious traditions. She skillfully presented herself as a true pharaoh. Her formidable intellect was renowned throughout the ancient world. She was well prepared for any challenge that came her way. When her father, Ptolemy IV, died, Cleopatra was approximately 18 years old. His will stipulated that she should rule jointly. She was to share the throne with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. This co-regency was an established Ptolemaic tradition. However, it was almost always a recipe for inevitable conflict. Brother and sister, often also husband and wife by tradition, co-rulers vying for ultimate authority, it was never an easy or stable arrangement. Powerful and ambitious courtiers quickly surrounded her young brother. These men sought to control the boy king. Their primary aim was to sideline Cleopatra. She was far too independent for their liking. She was too intelligent, too capable to be easily manipulated. They began to plot against her. Cleopatra was eventually forced out of Alexandria. She was driven into exile by her brother's opportunistic advisors, but she did not surrender to despair or defeat. She swiftly gathered an army in Syria. She was fiercely determined to reclaim her rightful throne. Civil war soon loomed over the land of the Nile. Cleopatra knew she needed powerful allies. Julius Caesar, Rome's most famous general, arrived in Egypt. He was in hot pursuit of his defeated rival, Pompey the Great. However, Pompey was already dead by the time Caesar landed. He had been treacherously murdered on Egyptian shores by Ptolemy XIII's men. Caesar was reportedly furious at this act against a Roman consul. He decided to stay in Alexandria. He aimed to settle Egypt's chaotic political affairs, and importantly, to collect Egypt's substantial debts to Rome. This moment presented Cleopatra with a golden opportunity. She desperately needed to reach Caesar. Her brother's forces controlled the harbor and the palace approaches. Direct access was impossible. So she devised a daring plan. She was famously smuggled into the palace. Legend persists that she was wrapped in a carpet or a large linen sack. It was an incredibly bold and theatrical move, a dramatic entrance befitting a queen. She suddenly appeared before Caesar, who was reportedly surprised and intrigued. He was immediately captivated by her audacity and presence. Cleopatra eloquently presented her case to the Roman leader. She spoke with conviction and remarkable persuasive skill. Caesar ultimately decided to support Cleopatra. He committed Roman forces to fight for her cause. The Alexandrian war that followed was fierce and bloody. Cleopatra was triumphantly restored to her throne. Cleopatra and Julius Caesar became lovers. Their relationship was undeniably complex and multifaceted. It was certainly a shrewd political alliance, but it also contained elements of genuine personal connection. She was young, intelligent, and ambitious. He was Rome's most powerful and celebrated man. Together, they formed a formidable and influential pair. Their alliance shocked many traditionalists in both Egypt and Rome, yet it clearly benefited both of them in significant ways. She bore him a son. This child was named Ptolemy Caesar, but he was widely known as Caesarion. The name meant Little Caesar. The birth of this child was profoundly significant. He was the heir to the Egyptian throne. Crucially, he also carried the blood of Julius Caesar. Cleopatra later visited Rome at Caesar's invitation. She stayed in Caesar's luxurious villa across the Tiber. Romans were both intrigued and scandalized by her presence. Her influence over Caesar seemed immense, and to some, dangerous. The Ides of March 15th, 44 BC, approached ominously. Julius Caesar was brutally assassinated by a group of senators. Rome was instantly plunged into chaos and civil war. Cleopatra's position became extremely precarious. Her Roman protector was gone. She quickly returned to Egypt. Her primary concerns were now to protect her young son Caesarion. She also had to safeguard the independence of her kingdom. She knew she urgently needed a new Roman ally. The political landscape of the Roman world was shifting rapidly and unpredictably. Mark Antony emerged as one of the key figures in the post-Caesar power struggle. He had been one of Caesar's most loyal and capable lieutenants. After the division of Roman territories, Antony controlled Rome's eastern provinces. Egypt naturally fell within his sphere of influence. He summoned Cleopatra to meet him in Tarsus, in modern-day Turkey. Cleopatra's arrival in Tarsus was a masterstroke of spectacle and public relations. She sailed up the Cydnus River on a magnificent golden barge. Its purple sails billowed in the wind, its silver oars beat time to music. Antony, who fancied himself a new Dionysus, was utterly overwhelmed. He was immediately enchanted by her display and her presence. Antony and Cleopatra soon became lovers. Their bond was famously passionate and intense. Mark Antony and Cleopatra lived together for several years, primarily in Alexandria. Their union produced 3 children: Alexander Helios, Cleopatra Selene II, and Ptolemy Philadelphus. Their political and personal alliance grew ever stronger. They began to present themselves to the Eastern world as new deities, Antony as Osiris Dionysus, and Cleopatra as Isis Aphrodite. This, donations of Alexandria, where they distributed lands to their children, directly challenged Roman sensibilities and Octavian's authority. Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and heir, saw his opportunity. He was Antony's chief rival for control of Rome. Octavian skillfully launched a propaganda war. He declared war not directly on Antony, a fellow Roman. Instead, he declared war on Cleopatra. She was relentlessly portrayed in Rome as a dangerous foreign sorceress, a manipulative Eastern queen who sought to dominate Rome. Antony was depicted as her emasculated puppet, bewitched and controlled by her charms. The final decisive conflict was now inevitable. The Battle of Actium took place on September 2nd, 31 BC. Antony and Cleopatra's combined fleet faced the ships commanded by Octavian's brilliant Admiral Agrippa. The stakes were unimaginably high. The battle eventually turned decisively against Antony and Cleopatra. Octavian, relentless and determined, pursued Antony and Cleopatra to Alexandria. Antony's remaining land forces began to desert him. He received a false report that Cleopatra had already taken her own life. Devastated and believing all was lost, Antony fell on his sword. It was a tragic and Roman end for a once great general. He was carried, mortally wounded, to Cleopatra's mausoleum. He died in her arms. Her grief was immense. She was now truly alone, facing the victorious Octavian. Cleopatra knew her ultimate fate was sealed. Octavian intended to parade her through the streets of Rome. She would be a prized captive in his triumphal procession, a symbol of his total victory. She could not endure such profound public humiliation. She chose to control her own death, denying Octavian his ultimate prize. Legend, famously recounted by Plutarch, says she died by the self-inflicted bite of an asp, a sacred serpent in Egyptian iconography, a symbol of royalty and divinity. Her death in August of 30 BC marked the definitive end of an era. It was the end of the long Ptolemaic rule in Egypt. It signified the end of Egypt's independence, which had lasted for millennia. Yet Cleopatra's story did not truly end with her death. She transcended her historical context.